Hello and welcome to the Ramblings of a 42-year-old man. Chris Smith here with you again today. And today I'm just going to do a quick ramble about the app Marvel Unlimited. And the reason I'm going to talk about an app is Marvel Unlimited is a way of reading just about every Marvel comic book that has been made up until about 1 month ago. So obviously anything new this month, it takes about a month before it actually hits the service. And the reason I want to ramble about that, obviously anybody who's seen the last few videos knows that I went to MegaCon, and it really reignited my interest in comics, seeing all these comic book artists and getting some of my comics signed and getting a bunch of prints and stuff. It really put me back in the mode of reading comics, which I had gotten out of a little bit. I've had Marvel Unlimited before. A couple of years ago, I'd signed up for it, and I started with back in the 1990s X-Men, which is the very first comics I ever read. When I was like 13 years old, I got into X-Men. I think the 90s animated series kind of generated all that, and I read comics for a couple of years before just kind of getting out of them. Just didn't have time. My teenage life got too busy. but yeah, so I about 2 years ago, I downloaded this Marvel Unlimited. It's like $9.99 a month, and I started back with the very first, the X-Men #1 comic that came out back in 1992. It was the second. Uncanny X-Men has been around since the 60s, but this was just X-Men. It just came out with their very first issue back around the time the animated series came out, and they really put it on my radar. So I went back and I reread all those I'd read when I was a kid, and I pretty much think I read every X-Men and all their spin-offs. You got X-Force and X-Factor and Excalibur, and Wolverine has his own comic, and Cable comes in, and pretty much for anything from 1992 until about 2010, I read almost everything in that about a 2-year period. And then I just kind of got out of it, not for any reason. It wasn't that the comics got bad or anything, but around May of last year, I started reading some of the Agatha Christie Hercule Poirot books, and I got really into those, and there are like 50 of those. And then I wanted to read all the other Agatha Christie books, so I've read between May of last year and August, so pretty much all of last summer, I read or listened on audiobook to every Agatha Christie book, which is about 100, close to 100. And so I just didn't have time for comics. I was listening or reading books, which is good. I enjoy these little book outbreaks I get into. This was a heavy one. I did the same thing with Stephen King, where I wanted to listen or read to all of Stephen King. Now, I did that over a couple years. I didn't just sit there and try to finish them all in 3 months, which would be impossible with Stephen King. But I did that with Agatha Christie, and so I just didn't have the time for comics. I was focused on something else, so I stopped the Marvel Unlimited subscription at that point. But then, going to Comic-Con really brought it back into me again. Now, I decided, instead of picking back up with the 2010s, because it just seemed there was so much going on at that time, so many different branch-off books and stuff, and some of them connected, a lot of them didn't, and some of the stories didn't, go anywhere. And so I decided I would restart at what's called the House of X, Powers of 10 books, which is pretty much a complete reset. Pretty much of now Marvel doesn't reset everything completely. There's always all these old stories are canon. They all happened, but it's kind of reset. It restarts the status quo for mutants. So like the X-Men get on their own little island that they've been able to create. It's a safe haven from humans who are always persecuting them and attacking them and stuff. And so the stories just go from there. So it's about a dozen comics in the House of X and Powers of 10 crossover there, and then they jump into the Dawn of X storylines, which is about 120 something comics over a couple of years. Now those I've just started reading. I obviously have not read all of that yet. I just started comics again a couple of weeks ago. But also in that time period, anyone who has listened to my MegaCon stuff knows I really love Rogue and Gambit, and there's a couple of miniseries that they were in. There's Rogue and Gambit one that is one of my favorite books now of all time. The five comic series of that. I'll probably do a rambling on that one eventually. I actually have the little paperback version where they put all 5 of those comics together coming in the mail soon. We'll talk about that, but that one I love that one a lot because I love those two characters, and they finally kind of reconcile all of their issues, and they establish themselves as a couple. Really, they've been on and off forever, but this is like really getting to where they're going to be together, and then that leads to kind of a side issue where they end up getting married very suddenly. And then they have a miniseries called Mr. and Mrs. Marvel that ran for about a year. That was also quite good. And that was right up to when the House of X Powers of 10 thing starts. So then I got started with those. And so I'm going to continue reading through those, continue reading through the Dawn of X. Marvel Unlimited is great because all those comics are right there. I can read whatever ones I want to, and it's $9.99 a month. I can do it on my phone, which it could be a little hard to see some of the really pretty artistry work done. So I'll grab a tablet, much bigger screen. I'm able to see it. It's almost the size of a comic book, so it's pretty nice being able to do it on that. And so yeah, reading through those. I haven't branched into a whole lot of like Avengers, which I know is really big now because of the movies and stuff, but X-Men has always been my thing. So I really have focused on the X-Men stories, and there's a lot of them now. The Dawn of X goes, like I said, for about 100 and something different comics. Then there's one called Reign of X that is also about 100 plus comics. Destiny of X, kind of the same deal. All of these things have come from, I think it was 2018 when the House of X kind of started. So for the past 5 years, all of these books have come up. So that's where I'm focused right now. But anybody who enjoys comics and enjoys Marvel, all of them are on there, not just Avengers and X-Men and stuff. Star Wars, Marvel has a whole bunch of Star Wars comics, so you can check them out as well if you have this. So that's Marvel Unlimited. Again, you can get it at the App Store, and you can read on your phone if you want, or if you have a tablet, that is a great way of doing it as well. So yeah, I'm sure we'll do future ramblings on some comics now that I'm getting back into checking those out. And yeah, till then, thank you for listening. Quarter 2 has started, and we will continue rambling for as long as you guys will listen to me. So thank you again. Talk to you later.